It's good to be with you here this morning on this Erev Shabbat, on this Friday morning. And I hope that all is well in your world as we join here together, looking out at the world around us. And I think hopefully today can be a good day and a meaningful day, even as there is much for us to consider as we do each Friday as we look out at the world around us. Glad to see you sharing greetings with everyone. Good morning, Sandra and Deborah and Sean and Mariah and Phyllis and Alan and David and Annette. Wonderful to see each of you and all of you, and hope that others have the time to share a word as well as we turn to the words of our tradition to help to guide us. Please join me in the blessing for awakening in our physical bodies this morning. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר יצר את האדם בחוכמה וברא בו נקבים נקבים חלולים חלולים גלוי וידוע לפני כיסא כבודך שאם יפתח אחד מהם או יסתם אחד מהם אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה אדוני רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. The soul that you have given me, O God, is a pure one. You have created and formed it, breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as my soul is within me, I will give thanks to you, eternal my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. We praise you, eternal God, in whose hand is the power of all life and the spirit of all flesh. And let's join together, la'asok b'divrei Torah, that even in our everyday life today, that our behavior might be informed and inspired by our tradition, to which we have an obligation to continue learning. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. וערב נא אדוני אלוהינו את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפי עמך בית ישראל, ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל, כולנו יודעי שמך ולומדי תורתך ולשמה. ברוך אתה אדוני המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור. These are the obligations whose value cannot be measured. They nourish us in this world and help us to create the world to come. Kibud av va'em, to honor fathers and mothers. Ugmilut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. Bashkamat bet midrash shacharit v'arvit, to attend the house of study morning and evening. Bachnasat ochim, to welcome the stranger. Uvikur cholim, to visit the sick, v'hachnasat kala, to provide for brides and grooms, ulvayat hamet, to keep faith with the dead, v'yun tefillah, to pray with sincerity, v'hava'at shalom ben adam l'havero, to make peace when there is strife, v'talmud Torah keneged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all. Well, let us join again today in our Birchot HaShachar, in our morning blessings, but let's begin the first blessing, half Hebrew, half English, and the second one entirely in Hebrew and alternating differently than we did yesterday. And so that we'll have recited 18 blessings, Chai Brachot, before we join in Shema together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, you have given the rooster the natural wisdom to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzalmenu kidmutenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, you have given me free will. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, you have helped me provide for my needs. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, you clothe the naked. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, you help those who are bowed to stand straight. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, u'roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, you guide each person's steps. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, you crown Israel with glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten la'ayef koach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, you remove sleep from my eyes and weariness from my eyelids. And we continue now with the reciting of Shema Yisrael, these words that call upon us to share the words of Torah as an affirmation of divine oneness. As Rambam, as Maimonides wrote, there's very little that we can say that could somehow describe God. We can mainly say what God is not without turning to words that are more about us than they are about the divine. And so since the Torah has identified that God is echad, is one and unified and unique, that is one of the few things that we can say, and makes saying it that much more powerful, and a reminder that echad is something we, each of us, is not. We are, even at our best, we are divided within ourselves and sometimes against ourselves. And seeking to resolve that is part of testifying to being created in the divine image. Please join me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם, emet. Well, good morning. It is wonderful to be together as well. And it is a significant time, so much that is different kinds of causes for awareness and gratitude and concern are present in our world. Today, I'm focusing on matters that have to do with concern in regard to Israel and the unity of the Jewish people. When it comes to Israel, obviously, a great concern is the potential for war with Iran. And I'm only not talking about that at length today, not because it is less important, but because there's so little that it seems easy to know about what's going to happen, so little that I can say that one couldn't learn from reputable news sources. At the same time, this week was a time when, under incredible pressure, when the Jews in Israel are under physical threat, when the Jews throughout the world are under physical and hateful threat of anti-Semitism, and when it's so important for the Jewish people to stand together. Um, the Knesset, which in order to make a bill into law has to pass a bill through three votes, uh, had the first of those votes, a draft vote on a bill that would outlaw any kind of prayer, but ultra-Orthodox approved prayer at the entire length of the Kotel. If one looks at the art in our entranceway, in our security entrance into the synagogue, one sees a piece of art made by an Israeli artist, including pictures and drawings and the like, some of Israel and some of our community. And part of where they come together is a picture of Ezrat Yisrael, of the egalitarian Kotel, of the part of the Kotel that is historically an archaeological park and that was redeveloped so that there could be an egalitarian space at the western facing part of the wall, a part that was never used as an Orthodox synagogue. Um, and now, nevertheless, that the government of Israel would choose this week to put internal politics over the good of the Jewish people, over the will expressed at the World Zionist Congress, the clear will of the majority of world Jewry, um, is as disappointing as it is unsurprising. We live in a time where all countries, all democracies, or most of them, including Israel, seem to be willing to weaken themselves or weaken their connection with citizens and stakeholders over narrow political power-based concerns. There are sane voices out there reminding us that this is not about whipping up the base or winning, nor should it be. This is the wall itself is not an Orthodox synagogue. It is a sacred and ancient place for our people. Um, and in theory, all should be able to access or pray in any way they want at any part of the wall. Of course, I don't believe that is realistic. The part of the wall that's been since 67, since right after it, I can tell that story another time, has been turned into an Orthodox synagogue. There's a significant part of the wall that's never been an Orthodox synagogue, as Rabbi Dr. Jeffrey Wolf, who's an Orthodox rabbi and professor at Bar-Ilan University, pointed out in his writing this week that what is it that the ultra-Orthodox authorities are afraid of? That all ideas and religious approaches do best in a free exchange of ideas and in a marketplace of experiences. And it shows the fear of those advocating that position, that they're again trying to take such an extreme position at such a time. But I think it's important at this time also to remember what the wall is, and that according to Jewish tradition, it does in fact belong to all Jews. Allow me to explain. We should know that, of course, the wall, as we call it, Hakotel Ma'aravi, the Western Wall, is what is it the Western Wall of? It is not the Western Wall of the Beit HaMikdash, of the sacred temple, of which nothing remains, nothing standing, of course, but rather it is what is called Har Habayit, that the mountain that held up the house, that a structure was built over the top of Mount Zion, so that there could be a massive platform that could historically hold up the temples that now the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque rest on that same physical platform that was built, but it was built by our ancestors as Har Habayit, as the mountain that holds up the temple. And we have a clear statement in Jewish tradition about to whom it belongs. It's interesting where we find it. We find it in Mishnah, in the earliest part um, of the oral tradition, of all places, in the tractate or section called Nedarim, which means vows. Why is it in an area called vows? Because in order to understand the significance of religious vows taken, the sages of old had to define terminology. Um, and based on certain understandings of certain vows that were taken, they use two terms. They use one that says that something is the possession of the people who live in that city. And they compared that to what they call Nichse Ole Bavel, those things that belong to those who came back from Babylon. In other words, that belong to not people who live in a particular city or in a particular way, but the entire Jewish people. And if we look at Mishnah Nedarim 5:5, we find having described earlier we can look at 5:4 for the moment. Um, uh, Objects belong, that'll be in the other order, sorry. What are objects belonging to those who are Ole Bavel? For example, Hal Habayit. For example, the Temple Mount and the Azarot, the temple courtyards. Um, and the water cistern in the middle of the road. And what are objects of that city? For example, the city square and the bathhouse and the synagogue and the ark which houses the Torah scroll and the Torah scrolls. Um, and so what does it say here very carefully? It says that Habayit, the Temple Mount itself, of which the Kotel is a part, was understood, and there is no disagreement about it on this level of the tradition, um, that it is the possession not of the Jews who live nearby, but of all Jews, wherever they may be. And the Azarot, the different sections there likewise, are for everyone. Um, and it's talking about gathering spaces. Um, and it's very clear that from a Jewish perspective, um, no one is saving Judaism or protecting Jewish tradition, as many on the political Israeli right wing are now saying, with this kind of divisive, Jewishly wrong law. What they're doing is just that, is creating division among our people at a time when we most need to be together. Um, and it is important for us to stand up, not just for our rights or what is where we something that belongs to us as much as anyone, but to stand up at this time against those who would turn to only their narrow power-based concerns at a time when Jews are threatened worldwide and when Jews are continue to be existentially threatened in their own land. If there's a time when all should be told, unity and cooperation and mutual support is much more important right now than such an absurd law that does nothing but try to disenfranchise. We've already been established there, and I've led many B'nai Mitzvah right at the egalitarian section of the wall itself, to disenfranchise the majority of world Jews and make them feel further from Israel at a time when the opposite is necessary. More will be said. We continue to stand with the soldiers of the IDF and pray that they will not be called upon for further sacrifices in the days ahead. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה רבקה לאה ורחל הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל ושאר מגיני עמנו העומדים במשמרתם. ישמרם הקדוש ברוך הוא ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה וישלח ברכה בכל מעשה ידיהם ויקוים בהם הכתוב וכיתתו חרבותיהם לעתים וחניתותיהם למזמרות לא יישאו גוי לגוי חרב ולא ילמדון עוד מלחמה וישבו איש תחת גפנו ותחת תאנתו ואין מחריד ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless the soldiers of the IDF and all who stand on guard for us. May the Holy One guard them against all difficulty and distress, injury and illness. May all of their actions bring blessing, fulfilling the prophet's words. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation not lift up sword against nation, and may they learn war no more. May all sit under a vine or fig tree with none to make them afraid. And together we say, Amen. Please join me as well in these words of prayer for those who are ill or injured or unwell or isolated, for those names given to me or given to Temple, for those names that have been placed in the chat in this service and in other services. For all who are in need, we turn to these words of refuah. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה רבקה לאה ורחל, הוא ירפא את כל מכותינו. יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו להחל עמם ולרפאותם, וישלח לנו מהרה רפואה שלמה ועטרת שלום ונאמר Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and let us say together, Amen. Well, we pause now as we have the opportunity to connect and reflect, but now is our moment to remember, to recall those who died in recent days and weeks, to honor those who died at this season in years past, and to recall those whom we've taken into our hearts with our own. During the period of Shloshim, we extend our condolences to the families of Barbara Reich, Sheila Prowski, Barbara Newman, Sidney Matthews, Martin Ehrlichman, David Kernerman, Barry Solway. And on Yahrzeit, on the anniversary of their deaths, on this 10th day of the month of Adar, the 27th of February, 2026, we honor the life and legacy on Yahrzeit of Linda Bricker, Barbara Brody, Lawrence Couchy, Sarah Chalk, Rebecca Gibson, Rena Hershoff, Stanley Lasky, Bess Lean, Larry Robbins, Florence Robinson, Shlomi Shapiro, Herschel Weiner, Ruth Wilson. Zichronam Levracha, may their memories be a blessing to us. Our griefs and our sympathies are mingled as we turn together to words sanctified by memory, to words glorified by hope, as we join together in Kaddish Yatom. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותה וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלא ובזמן קריב עמו, אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיא. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו. לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא ועמו, אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועמו, אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועמו, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, amen. Well, Temple is grateful for the support of all. A contribution has been made to the security campaign by the Singer and Lean families, observing Yahrzeit for Bess Lean. Boker O, Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom. Please, we'd encourage you. We have a youth Shabbat, a special youth-friendly service tonight at 6:30. It's wonderful for all, and it is our congregational service tonight. Please feel free to join us in person at 6:30 in the sanctuary. Mine as well. And in addition to that, we of course join together tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. With our service, followed by a special study session with our Shinshinit Aviv. Please join us. But first, Boker O, Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom.